There are so many AI tools out there. I feel like I need an AI just to pick which one to use.
There is one for that, but you'll need another AI to explain it.
Welcome to Learning Curve, the podcast that helps you cut through the chaos and find what really matters.
I'm Matt.
And I'm Holly. Curious about how to make AI work for you? Well, you're in the right place. In the last few episodes, we've been bringing in different people from all over the organization, each with different roles, each experimenting with AI in unique ways. From AI agents to large language models, we're asking how these tools are being used on the ground. What's working, what's still weird, and what's unexpectedly delightful.
So also joining us today, sorry, also joining us today is Shawn Cleary. Would you mind introducing yourself?
Sure. Shawn Cleary, Flexion on EQRS team data. Current role is a scrum master. Glad to be here.
Great, glad to have you. So let's start with something simple. Can you tell us what it's like to be a Scrum Master? Like, what do Scrum Masters actually do? Kind
Sure.
of explain in plain language.
Yeah. Well, I'm part of an agile team. I work closely with the product owner to help build out roadmaps, um, develop sprint goals, uh, run ceremonies as far as like daily stand up and retros, and then participate in our sprint reviews with the client.
Okay. Could you maybe share with us one misconception people tend to have about Scrum Masters?
Um, yeah, I mean, it's kind of interesting, right? One of the biggest things is as the team matures, um, you want to become less of um, the person running, more enabling the team to be self-managed.
Okay. Could you give us an example of something you handled this week that illustrates that?
Um, so basically at stand up on a daily basis, we run through the board, we look at the stories we're working on, and removing blockers is another big aspect of the role. But as the team I'm working with now is very mature, so they have their own kind of way of working through uh, problems. So just getting out of the way is something that happens on a daily basis.
So, you support the EQRS measure data team. For listeners who may not know what that means, can you paint a picture for us?
Sure, it's one of three groups that supports the end-stage renal disease um, uh, uh, mapping model. So we're basically the Yelp of dialysis facilities across the country.
Oh, wow. And what part of the work keeps you on your toes? I mean, it sounds like there'd be a lot there.
Uh, so we're using we work with several other groups outside of Flexion. So just keeping up with what all is going on as far as our iterations, our planning. It's a lot of moving parts, but like as I said before, the team is mature and they know what they're doing. This is several years into this project, so uh, they're very capable.
So I know I've interacted with you in many different scenarios. You seem to wear a lot of hats here at Flexion. I know you support our weekly town halls that we call Flexilerates. You also work on the video production squad. What do these roles look like in your week?
Uh, their support, their background. I like to be able to participate in client work, but I also like to participate in helping Flexion become uh, what it envisions itself to be. The video squad, it's a fun, different, creative itch. Processing videos, applying subtitles, publishing videos. scheduling the Flexcelerates and helping with the agenda. We have a rotating group that does that on a weekly basis. So yeah, I just enjoy helping out where I can.
Great. So these are both what we call squads here at Flexion. Could you quickly explain what a squad is?
Sure. Flexion has these groups of folks, a squad, um, guilds, uh, and they're a group of people for a certain amount of time working to solve a problem or to perpetuate and drive a certain Flexion fundamental home. Um, so squads usually function around like the video squad, the Accelerate squad, and then guilds we have the standing meetings. So uh, AI squad, collaborative coding, healthy teams. It's it's ways that the company can build structure around things it wants to focus on.
So you've gotten involved essentially in this corporate structure that allows you to reach and interact with other people. So what's something from one of these squads or guilds that you've really enjoyed working on?
Well, most recently, we're putting on our annual Flexcelerate. So I've been helping with the agenda there, lining up speakers, pulling together content, and it's actually going to be hosted tomorrow. So I'm really looking forward to that. Most recently,
Great.
Sounds like a big production. So pivoting to AI, one thing that you mentioned earlier that really stuck with me is that what's weird about AI is that it's not weird to you. Um, can you talk us through the different ways AI has naturally woven itself into your work and into
sure.
your role?
Yeah. So there are aspects where it just kind of pops up. So we use a tool called Team Retro, and there's various little subtleties to grouping ideas when you're having a retro. So the AI is already part of that tool, and you just start using it. Um, when you're setting up the iteration or sprints retro, you can also give it seed words and be kind of creative as far as the titles of the columns where you're collecting that information. So it's just become part of it. I mean, the meeting we're on right now, as soon as we are done, we're going to have this nice little AI report of notes, and it's just become part of the day to day.
And is there an AI task that you now can't imagine doing manually anymore?
Sorting through a lot of data and getting summaries is something that I can't imagine not using AI anymore.
Yeah, sounds like a menial task that perfect for AI to automate. So, as a Scrum Master, you tend to follow a rhythm of sprints, and we're starting to learn a little bit about how you're using AI, but maybe kind of walk us through a sprint and highlight maybe where AI shows up at each different stage. Maybe planning, refining, retro, whatever stands out.
Yeah, it's primarily in the retro area. So a sprint for us is a 2 week effort, and it begins with planning, which is tied to our iteration goals, which is a 3 month uh, um, planning event. Uh, so we know what we want to work on over those 3 months. We know what we want to accomplish. And then we break that work out into 2 week sprints. And the team decides what work is the most important to get done while keeping in mind the overall goals. So every 2 weeks, we work on a set of stories. Uh, at the end of that 2 week, we do a sprint review, or we demonstrate to the client what value add we've created to the project. And then after our sprint review, we have a retro where the team talks about, what should we stop doing? What should we continue to do? What are some wins we want to celebrate? And then the next day we do sprint planning to do it all over again.
Do you want to go, Holly?
Yeah, you've been, so you mentioned AI inside of Zoom. What features are becoming part of your normal workflow, or have they become part of your normal workflow?
I don't, so aside from retros, meeting minutes, uh, compiling data, other aspects in the company, right? So helping to rewrite certain content so that it has the same kind of feel as the as a writer, so it doesn't feel like it's five writers coming together and putting um, a bid package together, for example. Um, yeah, nothing else really comes to mind at the moment.
Yeah, that consistency makes a lot of sense to me. And Matt, you had a question about Otter AI?
Yeah, I know you're using obviously Zoom transcriptions for a
Mm-hmm.
lot of what you're doing when you're in these meetings, but on the video squad, you use Otter AI to create those transcriptions. So
Mm-hmm.
how do they compare? When do you choose one over the other?
So I had not used Otter AI until I joined the video squad, and now it's my go-to tool as far as extracting the narrators, tagging them, and then uploading that content to YouTube. So essentially, any Zoom meeting that's recorded, we download that while we are uploading it to YouTube. We are also uploading it to Otter AI. We've been using it for a while now, so it knows most of the folks in the company's voices. So I would say that it's about 90% accurate on its first pass as far as when it transcribes and assigns speakers. And then you have to just go through and kind of double check, clean up any missing names. Um, and then that's attached to the YouTube file and uploaded for general consumption for the company.
Okay, great. So Otter AI seems to have better transcriptions than Zoom in general.
Yes, yes.
Cool.
I can imagine that'd be a huge time saver. And it's kind of interesting to think, oh, it knows my voice. It knows who I am.
Most
I,
of everyone in the company, yes.
oh, wow. And I guess, has AI ever helped you catch something you feel like you would normally miss?
It's a great question. Nothing really comes to mind.
That's fine. Yeah, sometimes it becomes so ubiquitous, it's hard to even tell, right?
Yeah.
Where it ends and where it begins. And I think that's a real testament to design.
So we've been talking about how AI feels natural in your current workflow. What's part of your workflow that still feels clunky or limited? Where do you hope AI might help you in your next in your role?
I can see where AI could potentially, over time, point out trends in work, right? Maybe help track how long we are dwelling on stories, if there's a common theme on blockers. So if something we don't, wouldn't normally catch over the course of, several sprints. So I'm interested in seeing what it points out that I'm not even expecting to see right now.
Yeah, that'd be great.
It's funny you were talking about your mature team, and I've heard lots of Scrum Masters, and they talk about team dysfunction, they talk about stakeholder expectations or managing technical debt. Have you seen any AI tools inside or outside of Flexion that would help Scrum Masters navigate those areas or even small things that seem promising?
Um, that's another great question. So the team, I know that one of the tools, one of the things we use AI for that has streamlined efforts is documentation writing. So we have several stories that um, over the course of several sprints where a, a body of work has to be documented and shared on Confluence or some repository of your choice. And I know from just listening to the team that uh, the writing of that documentation has become much, much easier, saving a lot of time.
I'm gonna have to pick your brain later, Shawn, because I think I'm in the process of that right now. And from what I've gleaned too, as a Scrum Master, you're always monitoring team health and helping guide difficult conversations. Has AI supported you in those situations at all, or maybe help you for prepare for a conversation, or give you language to help you navigate a tricky concept?
The I can't say with the current team it has. It's a highly functioning team. Uh, Everyone communicates extremely clear. Um, they work well together. There's very little conflict, but I can see in starting a new team where those tools could come in handy. Yeah,
All right, so we've been talking a lot about work so far. We're getting towards the end here. Let's talk a little bit about something fun. I've heard you used AI for trivia in a pretty creative way. Can you share that story?
sure. I help a buddy a buddy of mine, and every month or so, he hosts trivia, and he has a second person doing DJ scorekeeping, that kind of stuff. So I fill in that spot when the need arises. And the first couple of times I wanted to create a unique playlist. I just did it by hand. Took quite a while to curate around 25 songs that are unique across the game of trivia. But then I started using Chat GPT, and I fed it the first few playlists, and I said, "Hey, create a new playlist, 25 songs with similar feel, some similar format," and it's created uh, several playlists over the course of the last like 6 months, and they've all been unique and they've all been really good.
That's great. So, I mean, you're saying they're really good. How did other folks respond to the playlist? Did they enjoy them?
I do get compliments at trivia, so I'm not no booze, so I think it's working.
That's great. So, one of the things I remember you saying is the songs at the end tend to be longer. Was that something you wanted or?
Yeah, so at the end of the night, there are bonus questions. They're a little harder. There's betting involved as far as like you can bet up to 25 points. So there's some strategy of picking out how much you want to bet, and a little bit extra time on those sets of questions. And then when I fed the first few playlists in, um, they had longer songs at the end. Like the last three songs were a little bit longer, and it just automatically picked up on that as far as like always ending the set with a few long songs. So it's not something I specifically asked for. It was just something automatically the AI um, um, created. It was great.
It's
That's
so
so fun.
interesting how
Yeah.
it like anticipated that need and it seemed to know that that would be the structure of a trivia session. So, I guess wrapping this all up for folks listening who want to integrate AI into their work or their personal lives, but aren't sure where to start, what simple, low stakes advice would you give them?
I I just dig in, start using it, get a tool, start interacting with it. You may be intimidated by it in all of the news you hear, and maybe you're not comfortable with new technology, but it's very conversational. So I would suggest just get your feet wet and engage.
All right. Thank you, Sean, for coming on to our podcast. Here's what we can walk away with from this conversation. One, AI is already a natural part of the agile workflow. AI tools are being blended into the routine tools that a Scrum Master uses. Planning, retros, communications all benefit from AI tools. Small embedded AI components can have a big impact. Um, Many of Sean's most valuable uses of AI aren't flashy, but are practical. And seamlessness is a real sign of value. Embedding AI tools into one's existing processes can make the difference between adoption and clunky add-ons. Knowing what users need and what tasks they're trying to do can increase adoption of tools and increase confidence in your software solution. So that's a wrap for today's episode of Learning Curve. If you enjoyed this conversation, do us a favor, subscribe, share it with your team, and maybe even master bar trivia playlists and be the envy of all your friends.
And don't miss our next episode. Until then, I'm Holly Fake.
And I'm Matt Sharp. Thanks for tuning in for the Learning Curve. Keep experimenting, keep asking better questions, and we'll see you next time.